What happens when you trade the treadmill for trekking poles? In today's episode, I'm joined by certified personal trainer and outdoor retreat leader Chris Kirchoff to explore the transformative power of nature, movement, and adventure. Chris shares how her journey, taking clients from the Seattle forests to the Himalayan trails of Nepal, helped her local fitness community grow by giving back. We dive into how Chris got started leading outdoor fitness retreats and the healing magic that happens when people disconnect from their devices and reconnect with nature. If you've ever dreamed of combining travel, wellness, and service in a way that's deeply personal and profoundly impactful, this conversation is for you. Welcome to The Mindful Trainer, the podcast that takes you inside the minds of athletes, coaches, trainers, and guides who have overcome challenges to reach their goals. I'm your host, Melanie Webb, and I'm joined today by someone who truly inspires me to keep innovating and growing, Chris Kirchoff from Seattle, Washington, a certified personal trainer and small group fitness instructor who leads international outdoor fitness retreats. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. This is awesome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to talk to you. We have a great lineup today, but we're going to start with some easy teasers for me and the listeners. I know you used to teach small group fitness classes, and I assume
Yes,
that music played a big role. I'm curious what's
huge.
on your workout playlist now.
Well, right now I'm for my own workouts. I have Florence and the Machine and Coldplay and some Madonna, all kinds of stuff. Sia. Yeah,
I love listening to Sia when I work out. I'd forgotten about
I
her.
know.
Having been in the fitness industry for a couple of decades now, you're very much a peer in that way. What are you feeling bullish about or excited about within the industry?
I've been working on a certification in functional patterns. I'm really excited about it. It's functional training, but it's different than anything I've ever done, and it's really hard in a mental way. It's hard on it's coordination, coordinating the whole body and being in the body rather than as a trainer, it's like my form, my perfect form, that kind of stuff. But it's different. It's all based on gait training, throwing and functional movement. It's really been fun. So
That
that's what I'm
sounds
excited
fun.
about.
The functional movements, I think, like lunge, squat.
Yes, more full body and how the upper and lower body work together. And based on gait and so running and walking, throwing is a big part of it too, like the upper body throwing, rotate, lots of rotation. And I think it started in 2009 and I discovered it in 2016 because of an injury. Mhm.
You and I have a cool story. I was so excited to have you on the show and kind of relive this moment. We met about a decade ago after I wrote an article that was published in the Idea Fitness Journal, which for listeners, that's a fitness industry trade magazine. And I had been in the trenches doing a lot of outdoor fitness retreats and things were just starting to be written about the benefits of being outdoors. And I was thrilled when Idea Fitness Journal accepted my query. Could I write this article? And then I heard from you.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's funny when you decide you want to do something. I've always wanted to do travel. I grew up traveling and combine it with health and fitness because it's kind of in my blood. And outdoors. And so I was thinking about it years before that, but then in 2014 I saw your article and I thought this is a sign. This woman is so cool. I mean, this is amazing that you were doing all these things and you wrote about, I don't know if you were writing about forest bathing or things like that I heard about, but nobody was thinking about this in our industry really, or at least I'd never seen it. I'd seen travel people do travel, but to combine the outdoors and health and the earth and all these things that I love together, it's like that's really cool. So then you had this class, and I was like, how do I sign up? You had CECs, and it was more about how to even start doing this instead of doing goals like running or weight loss. Like what about training to be outside and to take somebody somewhere and work on that. So super cool.
It was so validating to me, and we got to work together over the course of several weeks or talk you through packaging and brainstorming your first concept, which
Yeah.
was it your first trip that was Nepal, or did you do one
Oh yeah.
before that?
No, no, it was Nepal, and you told me you need to join the ATTA, the Adventure Travel and Trade Association. And
Okay.
I thought, okay. So I looked at it and it was a little expensive, but I was like, I'm going to join this and just see if I can meet people. And I found a tour operator. And we adopted my daughter from Nepal in what 2000. She was born in 2009, so 2010. And I'd always wanted to go back there and take, because it is a mad, have you been there?
I've never been.
It's a magical, magical place. It's beautiful out, but spiritually and the environment and the people. So it's all of those things. It's just a magical place. And so I wanted to bring people there. And then I went to the ATTA like you recommended, and then found this group that was doing a tour. And they allowed me to go and to arrange it in my way. And so we kind of worked together, and I didn't make a ton of money on it, but they kind of paid my way as a guide and then brought
Yeah.
my clients. And it was really cool.
It's such a cool way to travel, and I just can't speak highly
Yes.
enough of the Adventure Travel Trade Association, the ATTA. They're still in
Yes.
action, and they do incredible things in the industry. They were one of the first to sign a child trafficking law way back in the teens. They were
Yes.
so far ahead
Yes.
of everybody. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the child trafficking, the plastics, environment. Yeah. In fact, when we went there, the woman I was working with, Chris McKay, that's her passion is child trafficking. So I said, wow, okay. She had us go and meet this woman. We did some service there, and one of the service projects was with a woman named Anurana Corolla. And so her organization um, was really impactful because we learned all about how they navigate that in Nepal with my clients. I think we raised like 5,000 for them, something like that.
Well, that's the part I wanted to really dive into. If I remember the sequence
Yeah.
of events, you had this trip planned, you had successfully sold it, and then
Yeah.
the earthquake happened.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah, that's exactly right. It was really, talk about adventure. The earthquake happened, and I had a couple people drop out because they were like, it says not to go to Nepal on the government website. And I thought, well, okay, let me check in with Chris and let's check in with the people on the ground. And we contacted some people on the ground, our guides, and they said, listen, we need people to come here. Our economy's suffering and all that stuff. So I said, Chris, you know better than I do. Is it safe? And we ended up sending a doctor. One of my clients that was coming on the trip with us, she went right when we found out about the earthquake. We raised money. A bunch of my clients and I raised money and sent her to Doctors Without Borders. And she went and checked it out and said, listen, we should go. Like it's safe. It's kind of a mess, but we can go, we can help, we can and help the economy. We went and we ended up going to this village who needed electricity. And the fundraising was so great because at that time everyone knew about this earthquake. So it just was like everybody really chipped in. I think I took 10 people and they had all their networks, and we ended up raising money for this electricity project
That's
in this
incredible.
village. We were the first tourists to go to this village. So it was really spectacular for my clients to see, oh, this is how a Sherpa village, it was in the Everest region. So this is how it goes. And then they decided what they wanted. We thought, is there broken buildings, or do you want help with the school? And they had a community meeting, and the women were in charge, which was really, I didn't expect that. But they had a meeting, and the women got together, and it's a Sherpa village, and they said, this is what we decided. We voted and we decided this is what we want to do. We want to have electricity for our children to be able to study, to go to high school, to leave the village and go to high school. They have to study. And so that's what we did. And I think we started them off with 25,000, and then we and other people raised money, and they ended up completing it in 2018. 2015 we were there. In 2018 they got electricity for the village.
It
So
took three
it was
years.
pretty cool. It took 3 years to raise the money and do the project. And our guide was a Karma Sherpa. was instrumental in that. That was his village, and so he was very interested in doing helping with the project. So it was really cool to work all together with Chris and Karma and everyone, and my clients who were amazing.
I remember you telling me the story and I cried because when we're talking about the earthquake, I think a
Yes.
lot of listeners will
Oh,
remember this was devastating across a number of nearby
absolutely.
countries.
Gosh, it was bad. And the people, there's no such thing as physical therapy there. They were trying to work with people's emotions and their therapy. Like, how are you going to, like, if you hurt your arm or you have an injury to your neck, how are you going to move again? And there was no physical therapy, there was no facility. So they were trying to figure that kind of stuff out. It was
And I
crazy.
imagine they're very resilient people. Like, well, I'm injured, but I can do what I can
Unbelievable.
do.
It's amazing. Very resilient, amazing
Yeah.
culture, wonderful place. Mhm.
I can't wait to go myself. And what an entrance he made into the world of adventure travel.
So this is the thing, and planning these things, stuff comes up. You just have to be flexible and change with things.
Adapt, and that person on the ground who you worked with, rather than have the hubris of like, hey, I'm going to take these people to Nepal and do this thing, or a local leader, to
Yeah,
have that
no,
experience of someone on the ground with a Sherpa whose village it was to get you involved
yes,
on the volunteerism
yeah,
side.
learned a ton. Exactly right. You have to have that local. If you're going out to another country that you don't speak the language or you don't know the culture, you have to have those local, and you want to help the locals anyway. Mhm.
That's what I've loved about your trips is that you go to some wild places.
Yeah, it's been some
And
fun.
you're, as far as I know, you're not staying in the newest, latest five-star boutique either. You are
Yes,
on the ground interacting with the
yes,
people from that place. I'd love to hear more about what other trips you've taken and what's coming up next.
yeah. I think after Nepal, we did Vietnam, and we bicycled around Vietnam, and we did a service project with an organization called Peace Trees, which is from Seattle, and they get the bombs out. All of the bombs from the Vietnam War in central Vietnam are still there and will probably be the rest of our lives. They're turning it into farmland for the people, and so we went and worked the farmland with the locals. And then Croatia, we went to Istria, which is near Venice. Most Americans go into the water. We did do water, but we did cycling and winery, and that was more luxury, which I tried because my clients are like, "Do we always have to go camping? And do I just have to rough it?" And I thought, well, let's do something different. So we didn't have a service project, but I noticed it was really fun, and it was a blast, and I got good feedback. But it just felt like a little bit something missing. Then we did Kilimanjaro, and Tanzania in the Maasai, and did a service project there. We did Oaxaca, Mexico twice. We did Turkey. We did
Cool.
twice. Yeah. And then Bhutan was really spectacular. And then the last trip was Patagonia, just this last trip. And now I have Thailand coming, and then Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan. We're going to do the Silk Road. I'm fascinated with that area of the world.
Is that where the Silk Road is?
Silk Road, yeah, Central Asia, which is a fascinating history, all those different languages and cultures. And you think about all those people getting along, having to do trade and work together. And it's just hard to imagine now. So I'm excited to see that part of the world.
What an incredible history that place has.
They have a lot of Asian, Mongolian background, Central Asia, Turkey is close by too. It's like all along that area, Europe and Asia. So I'm excited about that. And then I got to think, if you think of anywhere that you haven't been and you think, oh, give me an idea, I got to start thinking about next trips.
About how many do you do every year? Is it one a year, one or
One or
two?
two.
Well, that's a lot of work. Imagine
Thank you.
that there's something rewarding you get out of it other than just travel, which travel for the sake of travel is a wonderful thing. What is it about taking clients out of the gym, out of these exercise formats, and into these wild natural settings? What is it about that keeps you going back?
I've had people on a big birthday, or there's like a change in their life. Their kids have gone to college, and maybe there's a divorce or there's a death in the family. I mean, it seems like when people decide, I'm going to do a big trip, So there's that piece of it. People are looking for change and transformation in some way. It's what I find. I travel with women only, so maybe that's part of it too. But there's that piece in the background. But I would say usually we get together and we build community. So a lot of times people don't know each other because it's like, oh, I'm invited these friends and this person, and people don't know each other. Like for our Thailand trip, I think we have 16 people going, and I have like 4 people that are my returning clients, which is interesting, right? So we already had a gathering. So we meet together and then we usually train together if it's a trip that requires training, which in the case of Kyrgyzstan, we'll be doing some hiking. Some people are new to hiking. And so then you teach people, or you get together and we do these how to pack your backpack. So it builds confidence. And then you get people teaching other people. So it's not just me. It's not me saying, hey, this is how you do it. Everyone has different ideas about how they do things and they teach each other. So it really builds community, which is huge. And then you see people like in Patagonia, we had some tough hikes, and you see people train for things that they thought, well, I had this injury, I had this problem, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I have this, sudden health thing that comes up, and people overcome things because they learn that they can do this even if it's hard.
Love
It's
it.
a little bit like training in the gym, but more because you see them, build skills.
Build skills that they can apply again and again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like you said,
And
that
it's,
growing of confidence by doing hard things. It seems to be the way we are wired as humans.
yeah, I mean, it is. It's really, it's powerful. And then to see people in nature is like I'm sure you can relate to this because you are a nature person, but to watch people that are literally working 80 hours, sitting at a desk, and they're super successful and driven in one area of their life, but then they get into the wild and you watch people. And I've learned a lot from watching other people and seeing, wow, look at this, this person's phone is in airplane mode, and even if they turned it on, it wouldn't work. They're not available, and they are then going, whoa, there's a little bit of anxiety about what do I do without my phone. But then you watch people just get into their true nature. It's animals, almost real human beings, and it's really cool.
You just described my experience to a T, leading my outdoor fitness retreats while I was training in Washington, D.C. And I always worked executive level or high level
Yes.
appointees. People had huge amounts of stress. And I noticed
Yes.
all of a sudden the phone wasn't working as well. And it gave them permission to let go and not have to feel like they had to be on and available all the time. Years came off of their face, like a sense of childlike wonder coming back when they could discover these places.
Yeah. I remember too reading your article about colors and having people notice, you know, the tree color green and the different colors, and you watch people kind of go, okay, we were in Japan, and our guide was walking in the Kumano Kodo, and I forgot I did 2 trips to Japan, but which is my birthplace. But
Okay.
you are walking in the woods and you lay down, and there's a place for forest bathing. One time we did it in the rain, and one time we did it in without rain, and you just literally laying down, and they say, okay, there's a spot, and then you just look up and you look at the trees, and everybody went through this exercise. It reminded me of your article because you were doing that, I think, years ago, which is so cool.
I remember working on getting permits to go to these wild places where I wanted to take people in 2004. I think I led the first one
Yes.
in 2007
So,
and was quietly doing my thing. And
and where did you go? Where were you?
well, my first one was to Deer Valley in Park City, Utah, where I live. And it was a high-end trip.
Beautiful.
We stayed in a hotel
Yeah.
and we had a chef teach us how to cook dinner. And I did both extremes. We did backpacking and hiking, or we did
Yeah.
high end, but then you're getting out into the wild every day. Uh,
So,
This episode of The Mindful Trainer is brought to you by Hammer Nutrition, fueling athletes with clean, effective sports nutrition since 1987. Whether you're training for your next big adventure, recovering from an injury, or just trying to feel your best day to day, Hammer has your back. with science-backed products that support sustained energy, mental focus, and optimal recovery without the sugar crashes or artificial junk. Personally, I rely on Hammer's endurance fuels and recovery tools to power through long hikes, bike rides, and everything in between, especially on adventures like my recent trek below the rim in the Grand Canyon. Visit hammernutrition.com/Melanie9160 to take 15% off your first order. You and I both live in pretty spectacular places where we have some outdoors right at our backyard, right? I'm in northern Utah, you're in Seattle, a beautiful place. I
Yeah.
think for us on the daily, even when we're not taking trips, it's not that difficult
Yeah.
for us to take at least a weekend to get outside and hike or do something fun. What would you say to our active listeners who are curious about getting into the outdoors but have a hard time making time for it? Or perhaps they don't live in a location
Yeah.
where it's really easy to access.
So in Seattle, there's some really great parks within the city that like you don't even have to go that far. If you want to get to the mountains, it's a little bit further, but I mean it's like less than an hour. There's access buses to get to the trail.
Really?
Here you can they're very inexpensive, or some of them are free, I think. But so there are really beautiful big parks here that overlook the water that have forest in them. And I, used to do classes in Discovery Park. The problem is that there's so much traffic that people are like, I'm not going to go to that end of the city, but it's so close. So you could do a park within the city. You could go out to Kirkland or something like that. To get to the mountains though is not far. And I think it's just one of the things that I would recommend too is like, even if you just went down to REI or even called there or emailed them,
Mm.
um, they have a ranger right in the downtown REI. And it's so convenient because you can talk to them about, hey, do you have any ideas for a good, 3-mile hike or, and a lot of people just want to do it online. But if you want to talk to somebody about what's going on that day, the conditions and stuff, the ranger is right in the city. So that's pretty cool in the REI.
That's really cool. REI is such a fantastic resource. I think they offer that
It's
programming
amazing.
everywhere around the country.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one. I mean, then there's All Trails, which gives you a lot of ideas and you can kind of filter for what kind of hiking you want to do. There's all kinds of groups too, like meetups. You can go to Meetup or Facebook, and if you want to hike with somebody. But I think finding a friend is really keeps you accountable. It's helpful to have somebody to do it with. So that's a couple ideas.
Great ideas. And then
Yeah.
for fitness professionals who might be listening, there are a couple of
Yeah.
us, here who've been leading fitness retreats, but I've always thought that a fitness retreat would be perfect for a spin instructor.
Yeah. Anybody.
How would you encourage them to plan and lead their first outdoor fitness retreat?
Well, I think that you gave me a great idea by joining the ATTA. I just spoke to somebody in Thailand and they said that they put together fitness trips, which I was like, wow, do you need yoga? Do you need a gym? And sometimes a guide or a tour operator will do that if you ask them. You just have to ask, and say, this is what I'm looking for, or how do I? So just starting there is super helpful, I think that was great advice.
I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah, they've always been really wonderful for me to be a part of.
But I think the main thing too is sometimes we have a passion and we want to do it, then we want to build the courage to do it. But sometimes the courage isn't there and you just got to do it. And then the courage will come. Do you know what I mean? You just got to do it. Sometimes it's like, oh, should I do this? And you just do it. And then you learn, oh, I failed. Oh, well, I did nutrition. I did an online nutrition class and I didn't really like that. And I just decided to get my certification and do all this education and years of training. I thought this is what I want to do. I launched it and I had people sign up and I did it for 4 years and I didn't like it. And there were things that didn't go well, and I learned a ton from that.
Good for you. I actually started a graduate program in exercise
You've done
science,
so many
nutrition, and eating
things.
behavior. Now I'm getting old enough to realize the skill sets that I've been able to pluck and learn from each of these very different realms
Yes.
that I've worked in. So when I had this brilliant idea to do a podcast. I just said,
Yeah,
I'm
I
going to
love
do a
it.
podcast. And I just jumped and started talking to people and inviting people.
Yes.
And then I realized that, oh, what do you mean I need this platform? Oh, what do you need? I need
Yeah.
this other platform to be able to publish.
Yeah. But
And
you
I'm really
jumped
glad
in,
I
then
jumped
you
in.
like had the plane and then you built the wings, on the way down.
Yeah, it seems to be the way I do things. And I've had
Yeah.
to pivot as well. That nutrition graduate course,
Yeah.
I realized one semester, and luckily that's all it took, $10,000 a
Yeah.
semester investment. And I said, hold up, I don't need to be
Yeah.
everything. I just need to know who the good people are that I can refer my clients to. And that was a huge revelation for me. Allowed me to step away and be like, I don't need another degree right now. But I did learn a lot that
Yes.
semester that I'm still applying 20 years later. So
Yes, that's cool. Interesting. So
I appreciate you saying that.
doing it.
Just get in there and start doing it. Well,
Yeah.
I feel like that's such a great place for us to end this first episode
Yes.
because it is who you are. You just get in there and do it. And I really enjoy watching your travels around the country and just knowing that.
Thank you. Thanks for
watching how you've grown it is so remarkable. Good job.
Well, thanks for the inspiration. Appreciate it. For having me on.
It's a pleasure. I'm so happy we can connect this way. How would you like listeners to connect with you or follow you or even join one of your trips?
You can go to my website, kirchofffitness.com, and there's an adventure travel page. The current trip, Thailand, is full, but it's on there, and then the next trips will be on there too. So kirchofffitness.com.
And we'll have that in the show notes too. Thanks for tuning in to The Mindful Trainer. Chris reminded us that fitness doesn't have to be confined to four walls. It can be expansive, adventurous, and even life-changing. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and consider sharing it with a friend who's ready to turn their next trip into a transformational journey. To learn more about Chris, her retreats, or how to join one yourself, check out the show notes. And don't forget to visit webwell.com to stay connected with upcoming episodes and resources, including Mother Nature's Gym, my course to help you lead your own outdoor fitness retreat. Thanks so much for listening. See you next time, everybody.